Payback time.
It's kind of surprising to even myself that I waited so long to get this Black Series Magna Guard. The truth is, I just wasn't very excited for it. I mean, it looked really cool, but the thing is, I just heard so much negativity surrounding this figure that it actually kept me away. And I noticed that my window of opportunity was beginning to narrow to actually get this Magna Guard. So I decided, you know what the hell? It's my favorite droid in all of Star Wars. I might as well own the 6-inch figure, because my 6-inch Black Series collection is so limited now, but it would feel very odd for me to have certain characters that I have, but not my favorite droid. It'd be kind of odd. I love the Magna Guard, I really do. And it is pretty cool to finally get a 6-inch action figure, even though this thing came out like, not exactly a year ago, but it's getting pretty close to about a year ago this thing came out. And what do I think about it? Well, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty fun, but it has one big problem and one kind of annoying problem. Other than that, I think it's pretty fun. I think they engineered it pretty well considering the character design. And yeah, as you can see, just from this pose right here, it's pretty poseable. It can get into a lot of cool Magna Guard poses. I mean, especially like without the hood and the cloak. You can see it's in some pretty cool poses. I do like this guy. I do have him without the hood and the cloak right now because I want to kind of get a little bit more hands-on, and then I'll add that stuff and make him look all pretty. But yeah, this guy is pretty neat. Definitely not perfect. Definitely continuing evidence that there's some pretty incompetent design choices going on for the Black Series team. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So let's kind of straighten the camera a little bit and straighten the figure, and maybe one of the issues might make itself apparent pretty fast. So getting this guy posed a little bit more straight, you can see the legs work pretty nice. Arms work pretty nice. And overall, yeah, I am definitely liking this guy. He's pretty tall, a little taller than I expected. Thank you, that's better. Yeah, he's pretty tall. He's not super tall. I don't think he's as tall as he needs to be, because Magna Guards are huge. Like, they're pretty big droids in the movies. And standing him next to a clone trooper, he's just ever so slightly taller, and I feel like he should be a little bit more taller. I don't know. I just feel like he could be a little bit more big and you know, just imposing, but it's still pretty cool. I definitely do like the look of him without the robe. I really hope we see some more repaints. I know they're doing the Jedi Survivor repaint. Not really worried about that. I want to see the blue one missing the eye. That's my favorite Magna Guard. I want to see that one. But yeah, just let's go about talking about articulation right away, because this is a 6-inch Magna Guard. This is probably the most agile droid in all of Star Wars, and I really want to see how the articulation works with it. So the head is on a dumbbell up at the neck, so we get pretty good up, pretty good down, and then the neck itself is on a ball joint. So it moves down pretty good, moves up pretty good, a lot of nice tilt. Pretty decent range at the head right there. The arms are actually on like ball joints, which is super cool. And then the shoulders hit. So these shoulder pads suck. They are trash. So they are very soft plastic. You can see I'm flexing it around. It's super gummy. And look at how they're attached. They're attached with this itty bitty little clip. And it's only held on by the piece kind of flexing over it and kind of tabbing in, but it's so gentle and so minor that it takes the littlest bit of motion and it's just coming right off. So bad. And honestly, the articulation you get from the shoulder pad like is so minute. I'm almost tempted just to glue it on, because like if you glue the shoulder pad on, you do have enough space where you can just tuck the shoulder pad in under like the shoulder armor, where it doesn't really get in the way, you know? Because like, look at the articulation with the shoulder armor like going out like that, and then obviously the shoulder armor is going to pop off when I do this. And you can see it's a lot more articulation, but you can even keep the shoulder armor on at all doing that. I think if they really wanted to like actually have a competent design, they would have had this on like a hinge stem system, or like it would have actually like hinged out and been on like a big ball jointed stem, and that way you would have gotten like the most range. But these shoulder pads are trash. They are bad. They are really, really bad. Definitely, like, look at that. No effort at all. It just came right off. Such a disappointment. They look good. I like the weathering and everything, but such a disappointment when it comes to the design. So bad. Does he have a bicep swivel? Let's take the shoulder pad off, because this is going to come off anyway. No, I don't think he does. That's okay, because he has a hinge at the elbow, and then he has an elbow swivel, and that works pretty well. He does have a swivel at the forearm, and that allows for the hinge to go up and down on the wrist, as well as in and out when you rotate that forearm. That is very, very good. Loving that. The torso is on a pretty nice ball joint. It moves back pretty far. But man, it needed more of a crunch. It doesn't have like any crunch. Like what? How could you not get a crunch out of a MagnaGuard? That's so disappointing. You do get a decent amount of side to side though. Like you get a little bit, just enough to get like some dynamic poses. But you get some nice rotation too, which I appreciate. Yeah, the torso I would say is the weakest part of the articulation. Because the hips, some people are complaining about the hips like, oh geez, they only move out this far. Yeah, that's the character design. There's no way you can get the hips moving out any further than that. That's just the character design. I'm sorry, it just is. But they move all the way up. All the way up. You do not really have a thigh swivel, but thankfully they did include a swivel right above the knee, which you can kind of flex the plastic out of the way and kind of get that moving. So at least there is a swivel. Knee bends pretty nice and far. Then the ankles move up and down. And they did kind of integrate a bit of a pivot, but it's pretty much mostly just an ankle swivel. But I can tell it's at a bit of an angle. So it does work with certain poses. Not a ton, but certain ones it benefits. Like you can kind of get this knee swivel out a little bit and then kind of use that ankle rocker. Because that knee swivel almost acts as like an artificial, like additional outward. So you can see, you can get some pretty nice dynamic poses, but the legs are just going to be limited by the nature of the design. I mean, it's a fictional robot. I can't really be mad at them for how they designed it from the waist down. My only real problem with this figure is the shoulder pads. That just launched off. Where did that go? And what I don't understand is that they've been doing this really nice shoulder pad engineering since like one of the most recent Stormtroopers, where there's a shoulder pad that's kind of like in this inner cuff, and it's above. The shoulder pad should have been attached to the torso, not the shoulder. Since when do they attach them to the shoulder? They should have had a shoulder pad like this. It's almost an independent piece. That's what they should have done. But, oh well, they've done what they've done. It is what it is. How about his accessories? What does he come with? So this is where we're going to kind of add some stuff and kind of see, what else he has. So he has his electro staff, obviously. This is unignited. You get an unignited electro staff. And you get a whole ignited electro staff. Where pretty much the main difference is that it has like clear bits at the tips. And it's a little thinner. I think this might be like the Clone Wars style one. And this is like the movie style. I don't know. Because you can see they're kind of different. They look different. So I kind of wonder, like, maybe one's designed off of one thing, one's... I don't know. I don't know exactly. Both of them are compatible with these effect pieces as well. Essentially how these work, you kind of see there's like a sharper tip and then a broader part. You kind of want the sharper tip going down and then the broader part going towards the end. These don't stay on too well. I'm not going to lie. This is my other complaint. They don't stay on too well. There's been many a times where I've just had this guy on my desk and these just kind of end up falling off because they look great. Like that looks awesome. That looks really good, but you're just kind of messing with it. Yeah, they're just going to come off. I feel like they should have done what the Vintage Collection one did and had these effect pieces just attached to these clear domes and you just put the clear dome over it and then it holds on more securely. I don't know. It's okay. All right. So let's talk about his other accessories, which are obviously his MagnaGuard cloak. So how this cloak works, we're going to want to remove the head. How much do you want to bet one of the shoulder pads is going to come off while I do this? How much you want to bet? So the head's on there kind of stiff, but we remove that. And then one of the Jedi has gotten to him. Kind of nice. You can remove the head. Kind of a fun little feature. And then we'll take this hood right here. You can kind of see, like, on this head sculpt, there's like a bit of a groove. I feel like it's a little too deep for what it should be, but it doesn't look garish enough where I feel like they really sacrificed the aesthetic for this hood. But I feel like the easiest way to get this on is just from the front. This is how I always put it on my vintage collection one. There's little slots for the ears. Get it over there. I personally prefer my Magna Guards with the hood and the cloak, so I'm going to keep this on. That's actually the reason why I started it off like this, is so I could just keep it on and not worry about having to, you know, take things off in a different order. And then his cloak, obviously, you can see it actually has 2 holes, which is very akin to like a Lego Star Wars thing, and I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, there's a hole up there, and then this lower hole kind of ensures that things kind of wrap around his shoulder better. I actually like that. I think it's kind of cool. So we'll put the lower hole in, and then the upper hole, and then kind of get all of that situated. There goes a shoulder pad. Hooray! Who would have seen that coming, huh? Who would have thought? Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Honestly, like, if you keep the robe on, you can just keep that shoulder pad off, because it's not like you're going to see it anyway. You know, so it is something to consider. Like, if you're kind of over it, just keep it off and just have more articulation. But for the sake of completism and my sanity, I don't even remember which way this goes on anymore. I think it goes on this way. I don't know. They've come off so many times. If they're on the wrong way, sue me. I don't care. Genuinely don't care. So last but not least, let's get his head back on. And I think this figure really shines with the hood. That's actually kind of why I wanted to wait to show the details until he had the hood on, because this guy looks so cool. I think I have a pretty strong case as to why this is my favorite droid in Star Wars. Just look at this guy. Look at this Magna Guard. He looks so cool. I love all the little mechanical details. I love all the scuffing they did on this guy. Modern Black Series, it's kind of surprising that they added so much paint to this. I'm genuinely surprised that they did. But honestly, this is a very nice figure. I'm not as disappointed with it as I expected to be. It's pretty much just those shoulder pads are what's really killing me. And like I said, there's an option if I just want to glue it on. The shoulders would probably still function perfectly fine if I just glued those shoulders on. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I decide to do with that. But let's get his staff on. Let's have him holding his staff, because we want to see how he looks a little bit more complete. One of the easiest ways to get the staff on, I've found, kind of wrap it around one of the thumbs, then wrap it around the other thumb, and then roll it back. And then it'll fit into place. And then the hand holds it pretty nice and firm. So yeah, there's our Magna Guard with the cloak and everything. I love all the printings of I guess the General Grievous arrows, because that's like the same design Grievous has on his cloak. Or on his head, I should say. Does he have those designs on his cloak too? I know Grievous has like a design on his cloak. I don't remember. I just love how the Magna Guard was a concept art for General Grievous. And they were like, this is so cool. We still need to have it in the movie. Love this guy. Love it. The figure itself has a few flaws, but I'm pretty satisfied overall. So for comparison, I did want to bring in that Vintage Collection Magna Guard, just because I have considered this one of my favorite TVC figures for so long, and now that we have a Black Series version, I kind of wanted to compare and contrast some of the engineering choices, shall we say, because honestly, I feel like the Black Series one is very similar to the Vintage Collection one, just kind of upscaled a little bit, but it does have a few differences that I think kind of hurt it. I do think the sculpt and overall aesthetic is way better on the Black Series. I definitely do. Has more detail, has more finite intricacies, holds the staff way better because it has more closed fists instead of these more open hands. You can see the clear pieces are attached to like the little electricity. And there is actually a nice little bit of paint under there too. You can see over time, I feel like they've kind of yellowed. Oop, almost broke that. That's not good. You can kind of see how I feel like it's almost yellowed over time. I don't know. Kind of odd. Is it not going on all the way? Or is it just... Come on, fit back on. There we go. Yeah, kind of whatever. The shoulder pads are just sculpted onto the shoulders, and you still get nice articulation. I feel like they just should have done that. That's what I feel. He has like these removable panels that are very easy to lose because they're just on these tiny little pegs. Definitely not a fan of that. I'm happy Black Series has kind of kept him attached. The color didn't match between the fabric and the plastic cloak, so definitely prefer what they did with the Black Series one, having the color match. You can see the legs have pretty similar articulation, where, you know, you got just like a hinge and then a little bit of outward, not a ton. I feel like this one might have a little bit more outward. I don't know. But then again, the sculpt doesn't look as neat and tidy right around there. Has pretty similar torso articulation, where it moves more back but doesn't really move forward. Overall, I still love the Vintage Collection Magna Guard, but I think I have to give it to the 6-inch one. I don't know. I just think it kind of, after all these years, pulls it off just a little bit better. Just a little bit. But honestly, I would have been disappointed if the Vintage Collection one was better, because after all these years, I want to see Hasbro improving, not going backwards. Unfortunately, sometimes they still do go backwards, but it is what it is. Yeah, you can see he hardly wants to hold this Electro staff. Come on. Come on. There we go. There's our little Magna Guard and our big Magna Guard. Love it. Man, this new one looks so cool. Alrighty, guys, there is my look at the Black Series Magna Guard. Honestly, as someone who doesn't really collect Black Series anymore, it's kind of nice to get a droid like this. You know, it's refreshing for me. I don't really get a lot of Black Series, so this is one I'm really happy with. It does have that pretty big flaw of the shoulder pads, but I would not say the figure is trash because of it. It is a glaring flaw on an otherwise pretty good figure. I recommend it, honestly. If it's something that you're looking for, if you want a Magna Guard in your Black Series collection, yeah, I think it looks sweet. Definitely hope to see a repaint or two of it. Especially the blue one with the one eye. That is by far the coolest droid I have ever seen in Star Wars. I would love to see that one. If they never do it, I might have to try to pick another one of these up and just do it myself. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'll give it some time. Definitely like it. Definitely do. I do have to say, as I was making this pose, one of the little effect pieces on the Electro staff did come off. So, just have to mention that. If you have a little bit of blue tack or something, maybe it'll stick on. But when it comes to the shoulder pads, oh man, might just have to glue those. I might just have to do that. Alrighty, guys, let me know what you think about this one. I think it's really cool. There is a rare episode of Droid District said and done. Let me know what you guys think. Special shout out to channel members, as always. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.